Greetings, webOS Nation, and welcome to PalmCast Live. This is episode 151 for Tuesday, November 29th, 2011. I am Derek Kessler. I'm going to be your host tonight, along with two other co-hosts. As usual, we have with us Tim Stifler. Dean, how you doing, Tim?
Doing great, as usual.
Fantastic. And Adam Marks, the Pre-Central Tipsmeister. How you doing?
Good. Nice to be back after a bit of a break.
Awesome. It has been quite a break, not just for Adam because he was broken, but just for the PalmCast in general, because we've been in sort of a news deficit lull desert, that space between solar systems. But, you know, every now and then something happens, and it's been about a month since our last podcast, so we thought, what the heck, let's get together and talk about all of this again. And actually, as it turns out, looking back over the month, there's not a lot to talk about, really. Lots of small things that add up to minor things that might make something major-ish.
Is this the part where we actually cut in last month's podcast and put it in the same exact order as before, because it's the same news?
This is the part where I drink heavily and for all night.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. So, over the past month, we have had, pretty much a lot of non-news about HP and webOS. First started off with the HP deciding to not spin off their PC division. New CEO Meg Whitman is going the opposite direction of old CEO Leo Apotheker and decided this is a bad idea, somewhat prompted by the halving of HP's stock price.
Right.
And now the question is, what are they going to do with webOS? And when they announced that they were going to be not spinning off the PC division, they also said that they were going to make their decision about webOS in the next few months. This was back in late October. And it's been about a month since then, and now we are down to the next few weeks.
So, thinking about the coming months and the coming weeks, this is something we've never heard before.
No, this whole waiting to find out what's going on thing is very new to webOS users. We've never had to deal with waiting and not knowing what's going on.
Now, do you think this no news is good news, or just no news of just stringing us along to eventually get the bad news again?
I think what's bad news...
That they've turned around a couple of decisions now, right? So,
and they're going for new Coke.
Turn around more.
Yeah, they're going for this sort of new Coke reversal and say, we're going to try this. Oh, no, that was a bad idea. We're going to not try that. Although the question has still been, what's going to happen to webOS? And the problem has been that every rumored possible suitor who might buy webOS from HP has only been rumored once. And then we never heard anything about them again. Or they came out and said, no, we're not doing that. And the most recent one was Intel, which is a bit of a head-scratcher. Because, Lord knows, Intel did really well with Mamo, or Moblin, or whatever the heck it was that they merged with MeeGo and gave to Nokia, and they put it out on one phone and promptly canceled it. It's a big question mark. Right now I'm thinking that we're probably leaning towards HP actually keeping webOS, which would be interesting, I guess.
It's just, the thing is, I'm leaning towards against that. It's just the amount of money that they've put into just dismantling the whole webOS organization. It just... They've spent so much time and effort dismantling. Are they actually going to reverse that and say, well, let's put even more money and more time into undoing that? It's just, that's my only concern. It's just, it seems like they've gone so far with getting rid of it that is there any way they could possibly keep it?
Well, you bring up an extra interesting point on how much they've spent. They reported their Q4 and 2011 fiscal earnings just last week, I think it was. And it turns out that HP is reporting a $3.3 billion loss associated with webOS. Now, that $3.3 billion loss doesn't even include the $1.2 billion that they spent buying Palm. So in reality, they might be claiming a $4.5 billion loss on what they've spent. Go ahead.
A lot of that's not fair, though, in the sense, I mean, a lot of that loss is because they canceled. You know, it's like, we don't know what the loss would have been.
Right, I'm sure.
Had they not done the fire sale, how they not taken severance packages, had they not done all of these things, didn't they take like $800 million just in like devaluing the devaluing that group, something along. I don't remember the specifics.
I sat there and I sat there and read that 5 paragraphs of gap and non-gap and everything on webOS, and I just felt my brain leaking out of every orifice on my head. I thought corporate earnings from Palm were mind-melting. HP is just... I can't imagine how much they spend on just paying people to come up with this accounting mumbo-jumbo. I'm sure that, a lot of it's... like, I think they wrote down $500 million on goodwill and how you measure good and value goodwill and exactly what goodwill we're talking about. I don't know, because there hasn't been a whole lot recently. But, right now, if I had to place money on the table, I would say that HP is going to keep webOS. Because it seems like every time a seller comes up, they either shoot it down or they disappear. And apparently HP actually still has plans for webOS of their own. I floated an idea when they were still batting around sell, buy, or sell, shut it down, license it out. And it seemed like when HP announced their decision and Whitman was going to take a holistic review of webOS and figure out what exactly to do with it, and they might have some internal uses for it, that they might actually have some internal uses for it, maybe putting it on printers or carving out bits of it for servers and Synergy on their laptops or something. And there was a report that came out just 2 weeks ago, I think, that HP might be holding up the big sticking point in their negotiations, might be contingent upon HP getting webOS licensed back for printers. Of all things.
Yeah, that would be a pretty harsh blow to the webOS community, I think, worse than most other decisions.
Please, if your goal is to use it on printers, tell us you've shut it down and rename it and don't use the same interface, because I will cry myself to sleep for about 4 months.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Yeah. I must say, I always did like the idea of webOS on printers, but as part of a bigger ecosystem, as like that's the 2% I like of webOS. It's just there's a lot of things I know.
I've got to be honest.
My wife even.
Yeah.
I would say it's like there are times you want to get driving directions. She wants to print out an email. There's so many times that I know with like my wife, it's such a pain to. She has problems with the computer and this. We have to do that. I can understand the concept of you go right to the printer. You log in, you go to Google Maps or Bing Maps, or whatever, you hit print. But that's kind of like a fun little thing to have. That shouldn't be the basis of the operating system.
Yeah. I'm on a different page there. I want my printer to be a dumb portal. All it does is transfer data that I send to it into ink on a piece of paper. I don't need my printer to think except for how much ink it has left, and I wanted to actually think about that, not just have a timer. And webOS on printers, when HP even said that they were buying Palm, close to 18 months ago now, and they said that they were going to be looking at putting in all sorts of things like printers, and all the time since then I've been wondering, why? Yes, HP makes lots of money on their printers, and they make a good chunk of money off of, say, their enterprise server printer things that print out 5,000 pages a minute. But I can't fathom what the real use case is for webOS on printers. I'm sure HP has sold dozens of their integrated printer with a little funny Android 5-inch tablet thing that you pop out. They may have even sold tens of them. I don't I can't wrap my head around why somebody would want that. A tablet, a smartphone, a computer that interfaces seamlessly with that printer, maybe with little bits of webOS, just to make it easy interaction, absolutely. But a webOS printer, I just can't wrap my head around that.
It really would be about as useful as a webOS refrigerator or a webOS toaster, where you have an interface that does a couple of tasks, but that's it. It's not the same thing, and there would be no reason for them to use the same operating system.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, the only bits of webOS I can see getting onto things like printers and refrigerators and toasters and LED candles and random crap like that is if they took the Android accessory route that really nobody's adopted. Actually, I think it might only be coming out with 4.0. But that thing that they demoed where you can essentially load a light version of Android on something like a treadmill, and it will interface with your Android phone and work with specific apps and whatnot. But even then, I'm still not sure that that's a huge use case. People aren't going to go, I can program my treadmill through my touchpad. I love this. There
I
are
still think either way, you're right, though. You still need those tablets or phones to be able to interface with it. And
right.
Just having webOS on printers doesn't make sense.
I don't want to walk up to my printer and go, ooh, look, cards. I'm multitasking on my printer. It's amazing. Nobody is excited about that. Really, nobody.
Meg Whitman might be.
Yeah. Meg, please don't. Just don't do it.
So what's her latest? Now, what's her latest deadline of when she's going to come up with an answer to webOS? Has she been anywhere or had any?
As of what date was this? As of November 8th. It was going to be 3 to 4 weeks. This was at the all hands meeting that they called to tell the webOS employees nothing. They said it was going to be 3 to 4 weeks before they would make a decision, which puts it in the time frame of now to next Tuesday.
Today is 3 weeks
to the day.
Right.
Yeah, so we've got sometime in maybe the next week. I'm going to give them 2 weeks just in case. We might actually find out what they're going to do with webOS.
I mean, the only kind of encouraging thing I got out of that meeting was her saying, if we decide to stick with it, we will do it in a, strategic, multi-year investment, blah, 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 corporate speak. But basically saying that, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it right. Now, granted, we heard that a year ago, until Leo came around. But, I mean, that's the only kind of encouraging thing, that if they do it, they're going to stick with it. Now, the question becomes, is it too late? And if they stick with it, is there still a chance for them to get back and gain the market share and, compete?
10 years ago, it was too late for the Mac.
You're right.
And now Meg Whitman admitted just today that there's a possibility Apple could overtake HP as the number one PC maker in the world.
Considering Apple is the richest company in the world, I would not doubt that.
Right. So they're being realistic about it. And I think if her exact words, at least as quoted, were, if HP decides to do this, to keep webOS, we're going to do it in a very significant way over a multi-year period. So I think that they've crunched the numbers and decided that if they're going to keep it, they've got to put the billions of dollars into it. This $3.3 billion loss that they're taking on it, at least on the books, on paper, is almost a precautionary thing, saying, well, yeah, we've lost some money on this, and we're going to write it down, and if we decide to do it again, we'll do it again. It's just sort of like AT&T T-Mobile's merger agreement. We don't really have much reason to talk about that because, well, there are no phones anymore. But their merger agreement has been looking to be falling apart and the FCC doesn't want them to do it. So even though AT&T still wants to go through with this merger, they've taken a $4 billion charge on their quarterly statement to pay the my bad fee to T-Mobile if it falls through. And they can take that off later on if it isn't actually the case. I don't expect HP to take off that $3.3 billion loss that they've written down over an entire year on webOS. But that doesn't preclude them from actually continuing with webOS.
Well, if they do continue with webOS, unfortunately, they would probably, that whole multi-year statement probably means that they're going to take a while to reevaluate things before they start pumping out hardware again.
Oh yeah,
so, if they keep webOS, it could be a very long time before we actually see webOS devices out there again.
Right.
It might actually be better for them to do that because there's such a stagnant, there's such a bad name with webOS right now in the world, in the market. You kind of have to let that die away before you can bring it back.
They've got to take some time and reinvent themselves. Right now, if HP, actually really if anybody is going to do anything with webOS, when HP bought webOS, it took them a year to come out with the touchpad from the day that they closed. The Veer and the Veer took 8 or 9 months. Pre-3 took infinity months.
Yeah.
So anybody that buys webOS, we're still going to wait a year, 18 months maybe even, before something actually happens, unless they decide to pick a design off the shelf and go into production with it, which I don't see happening. And HP's going to have to do the same thing. They're actually going to have to take a step back and say, what do we need to do? How much do we need to invest in hardware and software to actually get this off the ground and be competitive in it? And it's going to be billions of dollars again. They're going up against Google and Apple and Microsoft. And I guess you can throw RIM in there too. So it's going to take billions of dollars. Thankfully, HP actually has a couple of $1 billion lying around. Not so many since they bought Autonomy, but they've still got some cash.
Can you imagine if they took that, $10 billion and pumped that into webOS?
Oh, it'd be amazing. That'd be one hell of an ad campaign. So yeah, it's going to. We are on currently the wrong side of the desert, and we have a long way to go still before anything actually happens. We might get announcements and whatnot, but I wouldn't expect HP, if they're going to do this in a significant and multi-year way, to just pull a design off the shelf and ship it out, because that's a money-losing strategy right now. As much as I want a touchpad go, it's not going to sell well right now.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned the desert. I look back over the last 2 years where we've said things like, we're getting close to the end of the desert, and we're starting to hit news again, and we're starting to hear things, and new devices are being released, and then nothing has happened. And it's like, were we ever really getting close to out of the desert, or have we just turned around and
we've been seeing mirages on the horizon for 3 years.
I think it was February 9th, had they actually released devices like February 18th, then I think there would have been a chance. But the fact that, we were so high on February and they didn't get anything out for months, killed it right now.
And the first thing they got out was the Veer. As much as I love the Veer, I don't really use mine as much as I should, but it's a nice little phone. That's not a flagship device. That's not the thing you go, we're here! Look what we got. Oh, it's this little tiny phone you can fit into a coin purse.
And remember, the whole thing was like, in a world of tablets, who needs a big phone? So let's do this. It has touch to share, yet we still don't have things like touch to share.
That's okay. I'd say 99% of touchpad owners don't have touch to share because they don't have a pre-3 either. Okay. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if there are more pre-3 owners than there are Veer owners.
There are a lot of pre-3 owners.
People actually wanted the pre-3, not so much the Veer.
Surprisingly.
Oh yeah, it's a shocker.
And it's amazing because you had to spend like $200-$300 for the pre-3 on eBay, and they were giving Veers practically away for free with a contract.
Yeah, they were also giving away Kins, but nobody picked up those either. What people do want to pick up is the touchpad. And about a month ago, HP actually came out and said, we're all out of touchpads. We aren't going to have any more. They actually never managed to even sell any of them on HP.com. And we thought that's the end of it. We're not going to see any more touchpads. And then they popped up at Best Buy. But you couldn't actually buy one. You had to buy an HP laptop. And then you could spend $150 on a 32 gigabyte touchpad. And if you wanted to return the laptop and keep the touchpad, you had to pay them an extra $450 to bring it up to $600, which is crazy. And we thought, okay, maybe that was just the last of it. And then it popped up at Walmart and Sam's Club, and the same deal at Tiger Direct. And we had to stop and wonder, what the hell, HP? You've taken a device that people waited in line for, granted because it was $100 or $150 for a $500 or $600 original price tablet, but they waited in line overnight to get this, and you're now using it to upsell crappy HP laptops. What is wrong with you?
After you told us you had no more.
Yes, you told us, we don't have any more. Oh, wait, actually, we don't have any more that we're selling actually through our store. We've sent them all to Best Buy and Tiger Direct and instructed them to sell them with HP laptops. You did what? People actually want these, and you've already marked down the $800 million loss, or $1 billion loss, or whatever it is that you're going to take on offloading these at fire sale pricing. You don't have to make it up in the books anymore. And it's just insulting a little bit. I know the webOS community is small, but it's insulting to see our flagship device, even if it wasn't, it's great software, hardware is okay. But to see it reduced within 3 months to being an upsell only item to push these low margin, you're already selling at a loss and you're using it to make a tiny profit off of a $400 HP laptop, on which you maybe make $20 profit. That's not good buzz. That is not good buzz at all.
Understand what is happening. I am so confused.
I've been saying that for 2 years.
Yeah. HP is still driven by the dollar signs. What will make us money? And if they see that they've already taken the loss on these touchpads, it's already on the books. So what the heck, let's use them to make $20. We'll sell this crappy $350 HP laptop, or this HP all-in-one Touch Smart. How many people actually have bought a Touch Smart and want to reach out and touch their screen at arm's length? It's, I can't wrap my head around it. They could have people actually waiting in line. If they said, Best Buy has $150 touchpads right now, you can go and buy one right now, they would have lines again and good buzz about this. This doesn't get any buzz except from people like us, and then we go, it's not good buzz. It makes us frustrated with HP. Not that I want to buy any more touchpads, I have plenty. Not enough to build my fort, but I'm not going to buy a laptop so I can build my fort. We're on the wrong side of the desert right now, and it makes me sad.
Well, what else do we have? I mean,
we do have.
Look at.
You need to look at news-wise?
Yeah, I mean, what's in the distance? What else might be a mirage here?
A mirage?
Yeah.
Anything? I don't know what's a mirage or not. That's the point of a mirage, is I don't know. It looks enticing, so I'm going to run after it and write exclamation points and question marks at the end of my headlines. And tag them with rumor, because I'm going to start tagging with mirage now. It's... The future is murky. I grabbed my magic 8-ball and turned it upside down and nothing came up.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, but at least HP is doing what they can to make things a little bit better, or at least I should say the webOS Global Business Unit is. They had a Black Friday app sale, which if you're listening to this, it's too late. It ended on Monday, but they discounted 18 apps by at least 50%. Correction,
Did they discount the apps and take the hit, or did they work with the developers to basically take the hit on the sale?
Yeah, I saw a couple of developers who were disappointed that they were not listed in this, so I'm thinking this was HP just doing it on their own, which would make it pretty much like every other sale that HP has done, where
actually, James Harris, Palm Flashcards, saying they discounted it to get the sale, so it doesn't seem like HP did it. And then Smart Office was half off, although that didn't go into effect, I think, until this morning.
Yeah, SmartOff was supposed to be half off, and it didn't happen. So, if you want to get full document editing with PowerPoint editing, which QuickOffice doesn't have right now, I don't know if it ever will have, you can grab that for $4.99, which is good pricing, considering it was $10, which is still good pricing, considering 4 years ago I paid $50 for documents to go on my Trio. And there's a little bit of good news, or at least interesting news, you could call it. HP sent out to a small portion of registered touchpad owners a survey asking about tablets and their satisfaction with the touchpad and what else they might want with a touchpad. Now, customer satisfaction surveys are nothing new, except this is for a canceled product. And why would you send out a customer satisfaction survey on something you don't intend to sell anymore? Indeed. We thought that was interesting. Now, none of us personally got the survey, but
I did.
Oh, you did? And you didn't say anything about it. You're fired.
I was busy, and I almost sent it in, and then by the time I did, you already had the article up.
Hi, Adam.
So, sorry.
Yeah, don't bother coming to the Christmas party.
We're having a party?
No, we're not. At least you're not. It's okay. It's all right, man. Just clean out your desk and don't talk to anybody. So they sent out this survey. It's asking about things like how you felt about, rating your satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the setup process and the build quality of the touchpad, and would you want a stylus with this and stuff like that. And we decided, not everybody got this. In fact, very few people actually got this. So we recreated the survey and put it out for everybody to go ahead and take themselves. There will be a link for it in the show notes, so you can go take it yourself. We've offered to HP if they want it, they can have the results. Add a little bit of the fan base, the dedicated users who are willing to go cheerleading for HP, even if it's going to be a year before we actually have anything to cheer about. But the fan base, the dedicated users for something like webOS, where it's the adoption size of the market is fairly small. You need the cheerleaders. You need the people to go out and tell their friends that this is something you should buy. And right now it's very difficult to recommend anybody buy an HP product, or buy a webOS product. Mostly because you have to go...
Just say a whole HP product.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are buying HP anymore.
Yeah, at least to buy a webOS product, because you have to go on to eBay to find any of them. Which is also frustrating. But even with the fact that you have to go on to eBay now to find them, somehow HP managed to sell enough touchpads that through the first 3 quarters of 2011, they're the number 2 tablet. Granted, they sold through brick and mortar stores something like 250,000 of them, and I think the estimated production number was about 2 million. So there may be 2 million touchpads out there. And in 1 quarter, Apple sells 8 million iPads. So it's a very, very distant second. And it's also very much thanks to the fire sale when you could buy one for $100 or $150. But yet they still managed to beat out Samsung, who sells 7,000 different tablets. And BlackBerry and Research in Motion, mostly because nobody was buying a playbook. Yeah, and so that raises the question, if Apple owns, say, 90% of the tablet market, is it a tablet market or is it an iPad market?
Right. It's not just because, they put it on fire sale either. I mean, that's definitely a lot of it. But a lot of the people who bought them on fire sale then turned around and sold them on eBay at cost or, at a couple $100 more.
Yeah.
So, people who were still buying them were buying them at a higher cost, at maybe $100 or $200 less than the original cost of $499. But still,
I think that's
these were not cheap necessarily.
Right. Well, these numbers just reflect sales. It's not actually these are how many users there are. It's just HP sold enough to be number 2, and that's because they were able to sell them on $100 or $150.
And they never said that they were. I mean, from the very beginning, except the one dude who said number 1 plus. They said, they're not there to beat the iPad. They're there to put a successful tablet into the market.
Yeah. Our goal is to be 3rd, maybe 2nd. Congratulations, you've succeeded.
Yeah. I
don't know if it's going to be easy to maintain that number 2 slot, especially now that you're not selling any tablets, unless you buy a laptop with them. And I don't know how many tablets you have left over to sell at that point.
Yeah.
But there was a small glimmer of hope, a recognition of the creativity that can actually happen within the massive monolith that is HP. Pivot, which, is interesting. It's the app catalog magazine that you get every time you open up the app catalog, and they update it every month or thereabouts.
Almost.
Yes, almost every month, occasionally every second month. Was nominated and selected as a finalist for the 2011 Digital Magazine Awards under the Technology and Gadgets section, which is interesting because it's the only really sort of purpose-driven finalist in this. It's going up against Wired magazine and Engadget's distro iPad magazine and a couple of other things, but it's the only one has the sole purpose, really, pretty much, of pushing webOS apps. It exists as part of the touchpad, which is, it demonstrates that, the digital magazine might actually finally be coming of age and maturation where something like this can happen and exist, but also that, it was a really unique idea. They're enabling application discovery, which was expected to be a problem with the touchpad and having hundreds of thousands of apps. That never really came to fruition.
Hundreds of apps?
Yes, we have dozens! But, it was and they even went in depth. They went beyond just pushing apps. They did a profile in the October/November issue of Jason Robitaille on Homebrew. And I think they touched on Homebrew in the September issue, too, if I remember correctly. So they're doing more than just pushing apps. They're actually exploring the webOS ecosystem and the user base and learning and writing more about it. And they even have 9 different global editions that might just be translated, but they also have highlight specific apps for Germany versus the United States versus Australia. And I think it's a very small recognition, but it's a recognition nonetheless of some of the uniqueness that has come out of webOS. Because it's really only tech pundits like us that give praise to webOS anymore. Although my parents did recently switch to iPhones on Sprint, and they spent about 30 minutes telling me how much they miss this and that and that and that of their Pre and Pixie.
Yeah.
I miss having a physical keyboard. Yeah, I know. I miss having a notification light. Yeah, I know. But you have apps now, don't you? Yeah. Battery life? Yeah. Okay, enjoy your iPhones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the touchpad news. just sort of like the webOS news in that we don't really have much news. Though we did see something interesting pop up on eBay a couple of weeks back. And it wasn't just...
I wanted it.
You wanted it? You could have bought it. It said buy now. All you had to do was fork over $700 for a white Verizon... Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't for the white Verizon Pre 3. $700 for a Verizon Pre 3 in black. And for the heretofore unseen audio touchstone dock. We had seen just sketches of the layout and setup go through the FCC for this dock, and we knew it had Bluetooth and a 3.5 millimeter audio out jack. We were able to, very easily surmise that this would be the sort of thing where you set your phone down on this and it hooks up automatically with Bluetooth and streams music out through that cable to your speakers, which I want. I actually used to have something somewhat like that with my little Saedio NO dock for my Trio, where I could dock it down and there was a headphone jack that stuck out of the back and I could plug it in and wire it up into my speakers and use that as my music player. But this would be touchstone, so you set it down, Bluetooth hooks up, plays. But there was something else interesting in this auction. There was a white Verizon Pre 3, which we didn't even know existed.
What?
Twilight.
Yeah. It looks like it has, the current Pre 3 has the soft touch black back on it. This one looks like it had more of a almost shiny white, like the white touchpad. But it's, they had so much in the pipeline. They had this fancy ass touchpad, the white Pre 3 touchpad Go, who knows what else was cut further down the line, and all got canceled. It'll make me sad. But, one of our members actually went and bought this auction and went hands-on with the swanky new touchstone audio dock and came away somewhat impressed. It's actually a little less curved, so it can hold the Pre 3 better. Adam, you've hacked your current touchstone to hold the Pre 3 better, haven't you?
Yeah, I use a couple of different tweaks or hacks in the forums. The two biggest things I did, actually, I have right here, is one is there's a little plastic ring around the touchstone. You just pop it off, it doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I took two little, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's two little magnets. It's kind of like kitchen magnets. I just took a magnet from my refrigerator, soaked it, got rid of the front of it, and you just put it on. Let's see if you can see it there. So there's no ring, and then you have these magnets. It holds it pretty well. I mean, a lot of people, you can see I have it held upside down. It's my Pre 3. If you do it hard enough, it falls off.
Yeah.
But it's so much better. There's other people I know who have actually taken like a file and filed it down to give it more of that concave shape. I have not gotten that far yet. But even just this little, 2-minute hack really, really benefited the touchstone. And even in my car, it's not horrendous because I have it kind of vertically mounted.
Yeah.
Works well.
Excellent. Yeah, so this one was actually purpose designed to work with the Pre 3. Presumably it would work with other webOS devices, although it didn't work all that well with the older Pre that PDCH had on hand, because this also used, if you remember from the FCC filing, it had a 6 megahertz band that it communicated with. That was the touch to share band. And it actually used that to know when to turn on Bluetooth and know that it was hooked up to a Pre 3 and not a, regular Pre, or had something random stuck down on it that triggered the magnets. And it actually supposedly sounded better than when he was plugged in just straight off the headphone jack, which, it really makes me want this now. Plus, it's actually a different design. Our current touchstones are these fun little angular puck shapes, and this one was more sort of a angled bracket almost, like a 90 degree and then a 45 degree. So it would hold it up at a higher angle and further up off of the desk to, actually bring it up to where you can look at it instead of glancing down at it at an angle. And I want one, but this is the only one we've ever seen. And it makes me sad, and I'm tired of being sad. Every time I talk about webOS, I just want to curl up in a ball and cry.
You need to switch to Android there.
I talk to Phil Nickinson, our Android Central guy, every now and then, and just seeing the massive pile of phones he has on his desk to review also makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
And one more note on the makes me want to cry front. There's a patent that one of our readers dug up, and it's a 2-year-old patent. They filed it back in July 2009, right after the original pre-launch. It was on the Wave launcher. It's that handy little launcher we can bring it up here. So say you've got an app open, and you just swipe up from the gesture area, and you've got your quick apps that you can access right there, and let go, and it launches into that app. They filed a patent on that, no surprise, but also went a step further and went with this multi-layered design, where say you have your contacts app in there, you can drag up and hold on contacts, and a second wave appears over it with your favorite contacts, and you drag over and you release on Roger, and it calls Roger.
That'd be so cool.
I know.
This would have actually made that wave bar so much more useful.
I know. Right now,
It's nice.
It's a little quick launcher. Right now it's one swipe and release to get into any of your 4 favorite apps from any point in the OS. But it's not as awesome as it could be. And this got me thinking even further. What if they took this a step beyond? Instead of just having contacts and opened up an API for this, so say Carbon, you could drag up and hold on Carbon, and it would enable you to launch into your timeline and your mentions and your messages and into New Tweet, or
If you have multiple accounts, it can do.
right, or launch into
Which account you want to go into?
Yeah, pick an account to go into, or say hold on the web browser and there are your top 5 bookmarks, and you go zip and let go and launch straight to that site.
Or another cool idea, if you can do almost like kind of like folders in iOS.
Mm-hmm.
What if you can put like 5 of your favorite apps on one of those bars, so you click up and then you can open, it just expands the Wave launcher even more.
Right, and wouldn't have even thought of this, of having this multi-layered Wave launcher. And now that I see it in this patent, I can't I can't stop thinking of other ways that this could be used to make an even more in-depth and quick launcher. Right now, if I want to, say, call my mother, I can launch into contacts and go to her phone number, find her contact, and hit dial, or I can do a just type search, find her, hit enter, and it'll launch the contact, or tap her phone number to have it call her. With this, I could just drag up, hold on contacts, and then drag over onto her and release, and it would call her right away. It's 2 steps. Swipe hold.
It reminds me a lot of an old operating system that has kind of gone the same way that webOS seems to be going.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it, but essentially you put your finger on the side of the phone on the right side, and you slide your thumb in, and a menu would pop out, and then you would hold down on one of those menu items, and then another menu would show up on the other side of that. So then you could call people or text them. Right.
That was the access. That? Oh, you can't remember what that was called?
I can't remember the name of that.
That was the Access Linux platform, based off of PalmOS 6, Cobalt.
Is that the one?
I am not kidding you. That is the one. It had that sort of circuit, curved thumb dial thing where you'd swipe in off the left side. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. Wow. What a connection. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. Yeah, that sort of thing.
The idea has been there for a while.
And they have a patent on it, and they went away from that. I don't even have just that sort of gesture on my touchpad. Yes, I can swipe up to go into card view and swipe up to open the launcher and close the launcher and open the launcher and close the launcher. But that's all I can do. If it can detect my finger sliding in from the side, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to swipe in and hold to get the quick launcher. But I don't get that.
There's even a patch, I believe, for the browser, like Thumb browser or something like that, where you can pretty much do just that. You slide in from the side, and it gives you, forward, back, marks, a couple other things. So you can do it. Just apparently not how we want to be able to do it.
No, that's okay. It's a glimpse of what could have been, and it has me tempted to start digging through Palm's thousands of patents to see what else could have been. I'm not a programmer, but I think based on the work that's already there with the quick launch bar and the wave launcher, it wouldn't be that difficult to implement beyond that. And to open that up to developers, of course, you'd be opening it up to developers who are making apps for phones that aren't available anymore. So there's not really much motivation to make this happen, unless they put it onto the touchpad, which would be awesome and make me happy. And speaking of...
You know how to make Derek happy. Just do it.
Just do it? Yeah, just do it.
Just make Derek happy.
That's all you need, is for Derek to be happy. If Derek's happy, everybody's happy. Because when Derek's not happy, you do not want to clean up that mess. It's not good. You need bleach. And a steam cleaner.
That bad?
Yes. It's not good. But what does make me happy is the holidays are upon us. And if you happen to have a webOS fan on your holiday shopping list, we are here to help. Unfortunately, right now, if your webOS fan wants a new webOS phone or a touchpad, the best recommendation we can give you is eBay, or to buy an HP laptop and get a touchpad along with it. But there are all sorts of accessories and apps and whatnot that you can get for them to make their webOS experience better. Because, like I said, my parents switched to iPhones and they miss parts of webOS. They're going to always look back on that and go, oh, I missed that. I'm swiping on the bottom of my iPhone and nothing's happening because it's an iPhone. So, we're going to do a little discussion here. Tim, if you had a webOS fan on your gift list, what would you get them?
I don't know. Are we skipping away from devices, assuming that they have devices already?
Well, there are devices, and the devices that say go to eBay and bid on a Pre 3. But once they have that Pre 3, what else do they need?
Right. Okay. Well, what do I have with my Pre 3 is definitely a Zag shield, because this might be the last Pre 3 that you will ever own.
Yeah.
Except
Zag
never made a shield for the Pre 3.
Or, I'm sorry, a case. You can get a Zag shield, one of the universal ones, and trim it around and get it to fit on there nicely.
Actually, there's a Skinomi shield, so not to interrupt your...
Does Skinomi actually make ones for the Pre 3?
They make a Pre 3 shield.
Ooh, perfect.
Pre 3 skin, which is actually quite good. You don't even notice it's on there. It works really well.
And it has a hole for the speaker. Whereas the
speaker on the front.
Yeah, whereas the cut yourself ones do not.
Well, there is no speaker on the Pre 3. It's on the keyboard, but it actually has little cutouts for the.
No, that's the microphone. There's a speaker at the top of the phone that makes noise. What do you know?
One for the speaker, one for the camera, and one I think for the light sensor.
Oh, so there's one that attaches to the back too. No, I'm sorry. There are holes in it for the camera and the light sensor, proximity sensor. Is that what you're saying? On the front?
Yeah, you can't really see on mine.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can't really see that.
It's there.
I know there's a camera there. I use it never.
I've used it all of once.
Yeah. I used it in the review to Skype video chat to a touchpad sitting 5 feet away.
I do Skype video chat quite a bit with people, so.
You're weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Anyway, yeah, I would get one of those. Definitely get a case.
Mm-hmm.
Something that the Pre 3 is thin enough to fit, and it's large enough that there are a couple of cases. I can't think of the name because you know what? I didn't look up the name of this before you gave us this assignment.
You're fired.
But you can look. You're right. You're the only one at True Central now. uh, there's some cases for Android devices that you can get, and the Pre 3 fits pretty nicely.
I mean, like a sleeve type case?
No, like a hip case.
Oh, a holster?
Yeah, I'm big on the hip holsters, so I like to keep those around. I'm really paranoid about the Pre 3 because, like I said, you can't just send this to HP and be like, fix this. They'll be like, we never actually officially released this.
Fix this. Where did you get this?
Right? We're taking this back. So protect it at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would definitely do, grab a couple of extra charging cables and the chargers themselves, and because you can never have enough of those. Use them in the car, at the office, at home. When you go to a friend's house, you leave them places, you lose them. Like, I have so many cables all over my house and car that I don't even know exist because they're stuffed in places that I forgot about.
That's good. Open up a drawer and find a micro USB cable link. Yes!
Right, yeah. So that's what I would definitely get webOS people.
All right. Adam.
Similar to Tim, especially if you're a Pre-3 owner, I would definitely get the skin, just as a little extra protection. I also have a holster case on the pace here. Actually, I'm using a BlackBerry case, which is a great little thing. I just posted the link in the chat. For the Pre-3, I think those are a couple of good things to have. I think Verizon still has their $5 Touchstone free shipping sale. So if you want some of the older Touchstones, I think I have about 6 or 7 of them around the house, each of the cars right now. The only problem with that is you have to make sure you have a cable that fits into it, but that's not an issue for me either. Other than that, you can always go with like a prepaid, Visa card to get some apps in the catalog. But the sad thing is, there's just not a whole lot to really get for the webOS fans. I mean, is a roadmap of webOS too much to ask for?
We all want that so badly. What I would get, of course, are Touchstone chargers. You can never have enough Touchstones. There is no such thing as too many Touchstone chargers. I only have 3 set up. 2 in one at the desk, 1 on my nightstand, and 1 in the car. You can also have never enough, like Tim said, micro USB cables. I'm a fan of the little retractable ones. They've got that little spring-loaded thing in the middle, so I can just shrink them up real small and throw them into a bag. I am also a big fan of Bluetooth audio. I have a Bluetooth, the Jawbone Icon headset. There's also the Era. They're very good headsets. They've got little nubs that sit on your cheek and pick up the vibrations of your voice and use that to isolate out exterior sound. When I reviewed the Icon, I actually was driving down the highway with the windows down and the Beatles on 11, talking to my grandmother, and she thought I was just sitting in my house. I was able to isolate out all of that noise and just give her my voice. Now, I really shouldn't have been talking on the phone while driving, so I didn't do that. I also am a huge fan of the Plantronics Backbeat 903 Bluetooth headset. This is a sort of a quasi behind the necks, or behind the backs, I guess it is behind the neck, slash earbuds. It's a very comfortable design with a flexible cable, and they have Altec Lansing drivers for the speakers, and they sound fantastic. They are absolutely fantastic. Better sound than I've gotten out of any wired headphones I have plugged into my Pre-3 or before that. They just sound fantastic, and you can use them to take phone calls too. I also have been lusting over somewhat the Jawbone Jambox. It's their little, it's like about yay big 5x2 Bluetooth speaker box, so you can set it down, and it actually puts out pretty good sound for being this little box that's a Bluetooth speaker that you can go to a hotel or go to your office and plop it down and have music out loud, decent sound wirelessly. Man, I'm a sucker for wireless. And of course cases and skins, and you can forcibly grab their phone and download some apps and hand it back with a couple of dollar bills. Though that all depends on what exactly they are doing with their phones as to what apps you should buy them. So yeah, that is.
I have one more thing. Before we move on.
You've already had your turn.
No, I want to say something else. I'm going to say it, Derek, whether you want me to or not.
Renee, mute him.
This is my one more thing moment. Right?
Oh my!
I would definitely get a webOS fan the webOS survival kit from webOS internals.
Oh yes.
You're killing them. I was about to go into that for my app.
Yeah, well, get out of here. Oh wait, no, that was segue. Go ahead. It's your turn now.
Yeah, it is app time. Adam.
So let me set the stage. The year is 2013. It's a post-WebOS world. HP has sold off the WebOS group, and the buyer has stripped it for the patents and shut down all the infrastructure needed to support WebOS devices. The HP app catalog and the Palm profile servers can no longer be reached. Palm and WebOS dev Twitter accounts are no longer responding, and the developer forum is a barren wasteland. Some people take the easy way out and simply move to another platform. Others learn how to survive using the webOS Survival Kit, which I will now paste into the chat form. So the webOS Survival Kit, something that the webOS internals guys and Rod Whitby, founder of webOS internals, have been working on to say, what do we do after webOS is potentially gone, which would be a sad day. And it's definitely a good survival kit. Gets you set up, gets you a couple things that you want to prepare for just in case the worst case scenario happens. And one of the things, part of phase 2 of this survival kit, is something that only a few people have access to. It's a very, very exclusive beta. It's called the App Tucker Box. And if you don't know what a Tucker Box is, you should Google it. I had to. It's an Australian thing.
You should just tell us, because I can't Google with my ears.
Well, a Tucker Box, I was saying, is what you can Google. But this specific thing is something that has allowed me to actually get back the Palm feeds into freeware. Among other things, but see if I can pull it up here. But there's actually now, and again, I don't know if you can read it or not, but it says Palm Web, Palm Beta, and Palm Catalog.
Oh my.
Palm app. Basically, it's something you have to give some a little bit of information for. I'm not going to give too many details about it. But you have to, it's something that it's actually Rod. It's not part of webOS internals. It's actually something Rod himself is working on, that will give you access to all of your paid apps. And guess what? It will even override device compatibility. So, for example, I have Incredible installed on my Pre 3, even though it's a touchpad app.
What?
I have, yeah. I tried installing things like Graphite, which unfortunately didn't work. But, it's something I haven't done yet, but I'm very tempted to, is there shows an update to Quick Office on my Pre 3, which is the Quick Office H Pro or whatever they call it for the touchpad. But it's, I won't go into too many details. I know I went to probably too many already for what Rod would want. But basically, it's something I know he's working on to, if there's something with the app catalog, it doesn't work well, or if it goes down, this is basically our plan B. But, for the moment, I just love the fact that I have the beta feeds and the web feeds on my device again.
So this sounds like I'm guessing this is what Rod was working towards when he was asking for all of these app, or not app IDs, like the phone ID type things for various countries. Interesting. I kind of want that.
Yeah. So I pasted a link. If you want to take a look at the Twitter account, @Tuckerbox, AppTuckerbox. There's some details in there. Right now, it's a very exclusive beta. You have to meet certain eligibility requirements, but definitely take a look, and it definitely shows a lot of promise. So
excellent.
There you go. That's my app Tuckerbox.
All right. Tim, you picked the app I wanted, so I'm going to shoot you and take it, and then let you talk about it.
I'm really good at taking stuff that you guys want, huh?
Yeah.
You know why? Because I'm on the ball, gentlemen.
Cue ball, like your head?
Hey now. I have a beautiful head. The app of the day for this podcast that I'm enjoying. Graphite for the touchpad.
Ooh.
It's amazing. Look at it. You know what it is. The developers of Carbon for webOS and Carbon for Windows Phone, which is soon to be released, I believe, have also developed Graphite webOS, which is now in the catalog for $4.99. But what is it? It is a Twitter client for the touchpad that is amazing. It is really, really good. I really like it. It's fast. It's slick. It has, sliding from one panel to the next, so I can go from my main timeline to my mentions to my direct messages just by sliding across the screen. It has pull to refresh. It uses the webOS 3.0 panels so that you can navigate between different views. As Tech Junkie 79 says in the chat, this is a real client, a man's client, or a woman's client, if that is what you are.
Is that what you want?
What do I want?
Do you want a woman's client? If it's graphite, yes, I want the woman's client.
Sure. This is a really, really outstanding app. Let's see. There are currently 4 applications, I believe, in the catalog that are Twitter clients. There's Spaz, HD, there's Glimpse, Incredible, and...
This
is in the touchpad app catalog.
Right, in the touchpad app catalog.
Yeah. And
Glimpse and Incredible, Glimpse acts as a Twitter client, and it does a really fantastic job, but it's not just a Twitter client, and neither is Incredible. Really, the only app that was built specifically to be a Twitter client is Spaz HD, and that's free, so you can get it. It's very good, but I gotta give it to Dots and Lines, the team of developers behind Carbon or Graphite. This is a great app.
Uh-huh.
So go get it now. $4.99.
Well worth the money. It is. It is my favorite Twitter app for the touchpad, considering it has 3 other competitors. That's maybe not saying a lot, but it is hands down. I've even used a couple of other Twitter apps on iPads, and they just don't compare. It might be easier to make all the interactive and programmed stuff on an iPad, but the user interface thought that has gone into Graphite, it just blows my mind. And it just uses...
It's really cool.
Yeah, it has the extra screen real estate. It doesn't have to really shrink stuff down. So I love how even when it has the when it does retweets, it kind of shows the original tweeter kind of in line. And my favorite is that it actually shows the pictures. If there's if you uploaded pictures through TwitPic or a Twitter site or whatever, it actually shows a little thumbnail of that just in your timeline because you have a bigger screen. You can show these type of things in there. It's very smartly done. I do miss Power Scroll. I know in Carbon, they kind of really were the ones who introduced this whole idea to webOS, the 2-finger up and down. And I know it's something that they want to add, but that's one of the biggest things I miss right now.
I was in on the beta for Graphite, and there are some other programming oddities that have to come with working with Enio. Like you may have noticed that in Graphite, autocorrect doesn't work. And you can't use spelling correction. If it'll recognize that something's spelled wrong, but you can't do anything about it except edit it yourself. So if you don't know how onomatopoeia is spelled, you're screwed. But you can, that's because he put in autocomplete for usernames. So it will recognize when anytime you type in a Twitter handle, and will log that. So the next time you go to type that name, it'll start suggesting that instead. It's like, did you mean Automar02? Yes, that's who I'm typing to. And then you can finish typing the rest of your message. So there are some hacks and whatnot he's had to work, the developers have had to work into this to get around some of the limitations of webOS and Enyo. So I think things like Power Scroll are going to come back, and if I remember correctly, I think I saw on the Twitter account that they're planning to integrate a cross-platform or like cross-device bookmarking, or not bookmarking.
Tweet marker, I believe is called.
Yeah, tweet marker. So you can be browsing on your phone while you're on the go, and you get home and pick up the touchpad, and it picks up where you left off on the phone instead of where you left off last on the touchpad, which is one of the things that really I do most of my Twitter work through the phone and occasionally through Twitter on the desktop just to send out a quick tweet. But that's what's really holding me back from using Graphite more, is that I pick it up and then it's like I have to browse through 5 hours worth of tweets to get back to where I was last on the phone. So when that pops into existence, really I will be so happy.
Yeah, that's really going to set their set of apps apart from all others. One of the interesting things about webOS is that all of our Twitter applications are basically built on webOS and not for other platforms except Spaz, which also has a desktop client.
But I think Spaz started off as a webOS client first.
Right. But Graphite, Carbon webOS, and then now Carbon for WP, this will be, they'll start off on webOS, but they're also going to other mobile platforms. And just a quick shout out, Carbon WP is already, it's not even released yet, it's already the best Windows Phone Twitter client out there as well. So it would be really cool to see that timeline syncing across all of these devices, no matter where you are or what time of day it is. It would be really great. I want that. Do it, please, as quickly as possible.
All right. So those are our apps, which means it's time to jump into the Twitter lightning round. And it appears that Twitter, again, sucks. Because I see approximately 7. Oh, I didn't do my app. I am fail.
No, you didn't.
I am fail.
No, you did. It's okay.
No, Tim, I'm going to talk now. And you're just going to have to listen.
All right.
Because I'm making sounds with my mouth, and they sound like words that people are able to process and assign meaning to. My app is Paper Mache. Now, I think this may have actually been my app several weeks back, but that was for the touchpad version. And they have since updated it and put out a version that works on Enyo, and I think it was just today they put out another updated version that is compatible back with devices like the original Pre and Pixie even. You can now run Enyo because of the Maps update. And if you're not familiar with Paper Mache, it is a fabulous Instapaper client for webOS. It's built on Enyo, so it has the whole sliding panes thing. Let's see if we can actually trigger this on the screen here. So you tap on something, and it slides out with a panel, and you can grab it and slide it back and forth, just like it's an Enyo app on the touchpad. Let's actually go to an article here, and it actually syncs background. So it will sync down your apps in the background and store them on the device. Not your apps, can be your articles that you've saved in Instapaper. And it stores them on the device with images and everything, so you can go back and read this on the go. So say you have a 30-minute commute on the subway every day, and you've got articles you saved in Instapaper. This is the app to download to actually be able to read those on the go without having to actually have a connection to a cellular network. Or on... Actually, it's a great app on your touchpad, too. I do a lot of my Instapaper reading on my touchpad. and it is fantastic for that. If you've used the Kindle app at all, you can customize the font size and font face and even the coloration. So, I've got mine in the dark settings, but you can go ahead and go to preferences and you can have it be, you can increase the margin size and make the font smaller and make the lines spaced out and put it on the light theme. And it adjusts automatically and gives you exactly your personal customized reading space that works perfectly for how your brain and your eyes work. And it's absolutely a fantastic Instapaper client. I am very, very happy with it.
And Derek, though, while the app itself is free,
yes, the app,
part of that $1 a month Instapaper Plus.
Yes, the app is free, but to do the background syncing and keep everything stored on the device, it does require an Instapaper account, which is, like Adam said, all of $1 a month. They charge you in 3-month increments, pretty much because every self or credit card charge carries a charge to the retailer on that, so $1 charges per month adds up to very little profit. So they, it is absolutely fantastic. If you are an Instapaper user, you download this app right now. Yes, it's going to cost you $12 a year, but it's totally worth it.
And I love the carbon/graphite integration with Instapaper. You're just reading a tweet. Ooh, this looks interesting.
Send it Instapaper.
Right to Instapaper, right from your Twitter timeline.
Yeah, and then later on I pick it up and read it, and it's right there. It's fantastic. I am very, very happy with this app. Especially, it works great on the phone. It's the same app. It's an Enyo app on my phone, and it works great. And the thing's working great makes me happy. Okay.
I've never actually gotten into Instapaper or any of that. I've tried so hard. But
hey, Tim.
I can't do it.
Tim,
what?
You are rehired.
Yes.
You're fired.
Why? Oh. You do this to destroy my heart.
Yes, because I have none.
That makes sense.
Yes. Because I can't have a heart, nobody else can. Just like because I can't have a touchpad, nobody else can either. I'm going to buy them all. All right. So,
can we pew pew now?
Yeah, we can go ahead and pew pew. It is time for the lightning round, and I'm going to see if I can get better results from Carbon on my phone. Nope, I can't. Every now and then, I'm looking at the PalmCast hashtag results on Twitter. Every now and then, it tells me that there's a new tweet, and it's from 2 hours ago. So this is going to be a very abbreviated lightning round because, as much as we love Twitter, sometimes it just sucks. So, let's see here. Six-Fingered Amish asks, can we talk about an alternative future for webOS when they were bought by Nokia?
No.
No? All right, Tim can talk about it. Tim, what's the alternative future? We're going to write alternate history here. Nokia bought Palm. What happened?
They used it for the patents so that they could make amazing Windows phones.
They wouldn't put out the Lumia 800 with webOS on it? No?
I think so. This Nokia Windows deal has been in the works for a pretty long time. And they're doing extremely well. And it isn't just Nokia. Like, Nokia isn't just developing phones. They're going out and they're actively celebrating Windows Phone.
Well, yeah, they stole HP's webOS developer relations guy.
Yeah.
We miss you, Richard Karras. Come back.
Well, yeah. I think that they would definitely use it for the patents. They would have definitely just continued with their Windows phones because it's going extremely well for them. Windows WP7 makes Tech Junkie 79 and I were discussing this. It makes a lot of money every single day just because of Android. because of the money that they make off of Android.
Well, no, Windows Phone 7 isn't making any money off of Android. Microsoft is making money. Yeah.
But where are they putting that money, right? They're investing that back into their platform. And their platform might not be the number one platform right now, and it might not be for a very long time, if ever, but they are definitely set up to succeed. Nokia probably wouldn't put all of their, eggs in one basket with webOS because they've been set up with Windows. They're hooked in already. They're not giving that up.
I think you missed the alternate history part.
Oh, whatever. I'm a realist here. It just wouldn't happen. Alternate history, if Nokia would have bought them, they would have done better than HP.
Yeah. Yeah. We might actually be able to buy webOS phones still.
Right. A slab phone, maybe.
Maybe if we lived in Europe. I don't know if we could actually buy. The Lumia 800 is still not really available in the United States, is it?
No, it's not available at all.
No. You can get it through Expanses, can't you? But it's like $800.
Right.
Yeah, that's less than ideal.
The Lumia 800, I'm waiting to get my hands on one. It is an extremely, extremely nice device.
Oh yeah, it looks very nice, except for the fact that it runs Windows Phone 7, which I don't hate, I just don't want.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
It is fact. Science fact. Also science fact is our next tweet from iHagster, who asks, how can we get HP to release one last update for the Pre 3? You have to get all of the dozens of Pre 3 owners to bombard HP with emails and phone calls and tweets, and then they still won't do it.
Occupy HP.
Hashtag. Yes, I can't actually see, due to the very, very small user base that there is for the Pre 3 and also for the Veer, I don't see there ever being any new updates for them unless they were to go back into production again, which I also don't see happening.
Didn't they say that they weren't ever going to update the Pre 3 again?
That was...
They could always turn that around. But...
That wasn't actually an official thing. That was... who was that? Was that Ben Combe? But she said he wasn't aware. He's in developer relations and was not aware of any plans. Although that's not saying that the guys in developer relations know everything that's going on over in the webOS development group. They don't, because they're more focused on making and improving, or approving and working with the developers making apps. So they don't necessarily know if there's going to be a bug fixes update in the works, maybe someday for the Pre 3. But I would not expect there to ever be one. Mostly because HP put all of their well, not all of their eggs, a couple of eggs in the touchpad basket, but they didn't even put a fraction of an egg shell into the Pre 3 and Veer baskets. There very well may be future updates for the touchpad. We might get 3.0.5 or 3.0.6 someday. I do not expect to get 2.2.4 for the Pre 3. And I'm very sorry about that, because I want 2.2.4. I want my Pre 3 to not have to have a custom kernel on it to get memory, to prevent memory errors from one browser card.
Right.
But I don't think HP is going to make that happen.
Yeah, it's such a love-hate relationship with my Pre 3.
Yeah. Let's see here. Trio Rock writes, after all these years, why can't you read a question from me? We're doing it right now.
Is that the question?
What is the best webOS alternative in terms of phone hardware?
Do you guys
just the hardware or the hardware?
He said phone hardware. Adam.
I'm actually kind of interested in that question myself.
Okay.
For the moment, I'm sticking with my Pre 3.
All right.
Seeing what happens.
Phone hardware, it depends on what you want from that hardware. If you want a physical keyboard, you're stuck with either the Pixie-style candy bar with the Droid Pro series, although I think it might be called something else now, like Motorola Admiral or something on Sprint. although I don't think that's out yet, or a landscape slider, like the Sprint Epic 4G. But if you're looking for just the best raw horsepower phone, it comes down to iPhone 4S, Samsung Galaxy Nexus, really the whole Galaxy S2 line, the HTC Resound.
I have to say, I have a Nexus S here.
Yeah.
And I love this hardware.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought I would like this style of no keyboard, just virtual keyboard. This is a beautiful phone.
Mm-hmm. I look at the Galaxy Nexus and I go, oh.
Yeah, the Galaxy Nexus looks amazing, and
it's also about an inch too big for it.
It doesn't matter. This phone looks and feels so good. It is the best looking, in my opinion. It is the best looking Android phone out there right now, and you know what? It's the best working one. So, whatever. The Nexus is. With webOS would be amazing.
Yes, and if you want something that wins in the, those are the phones that win in the hardware field. I think when the Galaxy Nexus comes out, if you're looking also for the software, since Android 4.0 was given a very, very thorough makeover by Matthias Duarte, the same guy who gave us the webOS interface, I would say look at that and look at the iPhone for the combination of software and hardware that are going to work, as well as the combination of software and hardware that we got with webOS. If you're looking for something that wins in the length of title department, I would recommend the Samsung Galaxy S2, Epic 4G Touch from Sprint.
Yes.
End quote. Our next tweet comes from PalmRocks, who writes, remember that flying jet game from the Think Beyond event in San Francisco that they used for the touchpad demos? Did that ever get released?
No.
No, it did not. It's sort of like RIM's software demos for all the amazing things that the BlackBerry Playbook can do that you never see.
But at least it was an actual app that people used.
Oh, yeah. The stuff that they've demoed on the Playbook was actually demoed on the Playbook, but it never actually saw the light of day outside of a demo, which makes me sad.
Hey, do you guys remember that white 64 gigabyte HP touchpad? Was that ever actually released?
Yes, I do. It was released in France.
Yep.
Yeah.
For a day. No, I'm sorry. It was released for 2 days before it was canceled.
August 17th?
Yes. No, wait. Was it a day or 2 days? I can't remember. It was 1 or 2 days, along with the pre-3 in the UK before HP pulled the plug on everything. Yeah.
They pulled the plug on the hardware. They didn't pull the plug on the software.
They pulled the plug on my heart.
That's very poetic.
Yeah.
It is, because I'm a robot. Let's see here. webOS Dealer asks, make sure to mention the December 15th New York webOS Developer Meetup with webOS Esquire, who is our very own Jonathan Ezor, and webOS Dealer, who is the tweeter of this, discussing the future of webOS. So if you happen to live in the New York City area, you should definitely stop by. You can check out the webOS Dealer Twitter account for more information. Actually, you can check out the NYC webOS Dev Twitter account for more information. That'll be probably a better option to find out more about what's going on with that meetup.
And I'll hopefully be there as well.
Excellent.
The last one last week.
Sweet. Is that a weekly event?
No, it's been pretty much like 4 to 6 weeks or so. But I think, just try to do it as a social event to, hopefully we'll have an answer about what's going on with webOS. And either it will be a big celebration event because we are, they're keeping them.
We have an answer. That's all we want.
Or it will be a wake. One of the two.
In which case you're still drinking.
Heavily.
Yes.
except me because I'm going to have to drive home afterwards. But for those taking public transportation or carpooling, drink
heavy drinking. Heavy drinks for all, yes. Our final tweet comes from Juxtaflux, who writes, if HP decides to keep webOS and not sell it, do you think they will keep the app catalog running? Tim.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
And yeah, if you're going to keep it, absolutely. And that's sort of the part of the point of keeping it, is that you maintain at least this platform in the meanwhile until you get new hardware, new software out for it. So absolutely, they will keep the app catalog running. If HP,
even if they just say we're not doing anything else with it, my assumption is that they're still going to keep the app catalog running. At least they've got to do it for 6 months, 12 months, kind of at least that time period.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't cost them too much. And if anything, they're still making a couple bucks off it. But I just can imagine a lot of like the lawsuits and other.
Oh yeah, they got lawsuits just when they decided to stop making hardware. Right. If they stop offering this backup and app catalog services, I might sue. Okay, I actually probably wouldn't. I would just blog and be very irritated about it. But there would definitely be all sorts of legal action about that.
App developers say, though, you gave me this opportunity to develop your applications, and now you've taken that away from me. So I've spent all of this time and money and energy on your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Screw you. Give me money.
It would be a massive, 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 tiny backslash. Backslash?
A massively tiny backslash. Yeah.
Backlash. That's the word. Backlash. Yeah. It would be. It's a small group, but we'd be very, very, very irate. So I don't expect, especially if HP does keep it, they will keep the app catalog running. If HP shuts it down, they'll keep it running for a while at least, because in their accounting, they use what's called GAAP accounting, which is essentially adjusted annually accounting. So they're expecting, unlike when you sell a car and there's a warranty and maybe a service agreement with that for a year, Ford and GM and Toyota, they account for all of that income from that sale at once. The day it's sold, that income is counted on their ledger book. For groups like Apple and HP and HTC who sell phones and tablets that have an ongoing support structure with them, they use what's called GAAP accounting, which accounts for it over 2 years. So it could actually come down to, if they cancel webOS and they don't have a buyer for it and they decide it's not worth investing the billions of dollars it'll take to do it right, they will still have to continue doing that because they are still counting this on their books. And they could be charged with actual accounting fraud for counting the expenses of that and the income from it on their books when it's not actually happening. They've made we paid for these phones and these tablets, and in return are expected to get within the reasonable life period of a phone or tablet, which I think they consider to be approximately 2 years, services in return. So yes, it will continue no matter what. It may not be great, especially if they cancel it. I don't expect anybody to release any more apps ever if it's canceled. Hopefully that will not be the case.
Except webOS internals.
Oh yeah, well they may release more apps, but it's still going to be the question of why would you develop an app for webOS if there aren't going to be any more devices? Yeah. And I'm sure there's still people developing apps for Apple II computers, but they aren't making any money off of them. It's more just sort of hobbyist, and I don't want webOS to become a hobbyist OS, because I don't want to use a hobbyist OS. I want my OS to be supported by a company and have a thriving ecosystem of developers and users, and HP needs to make sure that happens. Otherwise, they will suffer my wrath. I'll go all Chuck Norris on them.
I just want the community to be happy again.
Right, and for that we need apps and phones and.
First, we need hardware.
Yeah. Well, if we'd had the apps, we wouldn't have the hardware problem. If we had the apps, we may have been able to sell the hardware, which would have generated more apps, which would have sold more hardware, which would have meant
good hardware to start with. There would have been more apps.
Yeah.
Amen.
This is a vicious, vicious cycle.
And the perfect way to end the PalmCast.
Yeah. We're ending with fingers crossed. Maybe we'll do something right this time. Yeah, so that is the PalmCast. PalmCast Live is sponsored by the Pre-Central Accessory Store, where you can get everything from cases to chargers to touchstones to screen protectors for your touchpad. It is your one-stop shop for all of your webOS needs. You can catch us all on Twitter. I am DKDSGN. Tim is at another guy, and Adam is at Automars, AUDEMARS02. And you can catch us all together doing our thing at PreCentral, both on Twitter and on the website itself, precentral.net. If you want to talk to us, you can send us an email at podcast@precentral.net, and we might just answer it here on the air. You'll notice we didn't answer anything this week because we didn't get any emails. And that also makes us sad. And as always, you can catch us every day of the week, pretty much, doing our thing on precentral.net, your home for all things webOS. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.